In this corner, Red Hood from DC Essentials by DC Collectibles. In this corner, the DC Multiverse Red Hood from the Nightwing 2-pack. And in this corner, the DC Multiverse Red Hood from Batman the Three Jokers. And in this corner, the DC Multiverse Red Hood from Gotham Knights. Stick around, this is one versus you will not want to miss. Welcome to 5 Points of Articulation, where I review action figures and then articulate 5 points to help you decide if you want to add that figure to your collection. The 5 points I discuss are packaging, presentation, posability, playability, and price. I'm Jason, and if you enjoy my content, please like, share, subscribe, do all the YouTube rigmarole. This is my 200th video, and we're going to celebrate by figuring out which is the best Red Hood for your collection. Starting off with the packaging, and I actually don't have the packaging for these two. DC Essentials, of course, would have come in a window box like this. They had product shots on the side, and nice little write-ups and product shots on the back. The original McFarlane's a bit more complicated. It was primarily released in a 2-pack, but then was also single-carded. Three Jokers and Gotham Knights are single-carded as well. Hey, I got a fun idea. Quick, tell me in the comments which one you think this is. Fortunately, the sides are a bit more informative. I do really like when they do the source material logos up here. And on the back, we get some pretty cool figure photography. Three Jokers appropriately sees Jason wandering around a cemetery. Gotham Knights has him on a rooftop overlooking a city on fire. Really good lighting on that, by the way. Honestly, all these guys are fine, so for packaging, we're going to make life easy and call this round a draw. Moving on to presentation, they all stand at about 7 inches, with Gotham Knight in the 2-pack version a little bit taller. At a glance, an Essentials is the closest to a basic comic book version. The downside is that Essentials relied heavily on reuse, so the bodies are all basically the same. Jason, of course, was given an all-new head. It's a nice shiny metallic red. He was, however, also given a new jacket, a belt with gun holsters, new boots and shoes, and unlike all the other male figures in the series, he has peg holes. Correction, Joker also had peg holes. The 2-pack version is a stylized version of the comic book design. Similar to Essentials, the helmet's metallic. It also has some extra panel lines in it that kind of reminds me of Iron Man. Instead of a skin-tight bodysuit, he has body armor, and you know he means business because the jacket sleeves are rolled up. He also has gun holsters, and while he does kinda sorta have the signature Red Hood shin armor, it is not presented as being metallic. That said, there are a few straps of glossy black painted on here and there. While this one definitely isn't a regular comic book version, it is styled off the artwork of Batman the Three Jokers. This helmet's a bit simpler in design. Once again, a nice metallic red. Honestly, it reminds me a lot of the one from DC Essentials. He's traded in the brown leather jacket for a black one. Fantastic leather texture on that. Notice all the straps and zippers. It's also been cast in a nice flexible plastic. While we're here, you'll notice that his torso looks a lot more like a traditional Robin design, black fasteners instead of gold. No holsters on this figure, but if the lower extremities look familiar, it's because the lower half is the exact same as the 2-pack version. This time they made the shin guard a glossy black and punched in a little extra red. This one's the most different as it's based on his look from the Gotham Knights video game. Instead of the metallic red we've grown accustomed to, this one seems to be a more fabric mask. There are some straps and panel lines painted in. Instead of a leather jacket, he's wearing more of an armored hoodie. Notice the little danglies. Lots of great paint detailing with the logo and straps. We see more of that as we come down to the gloves. Even more of it as we come to the legs. I haven't played the game, so I don't know what they are, but he's got some boxes on the sides of his hips. Could be his holsters. Either way, he has some thigh armor, as well as some nicely painted knee pads, and some pretty sweet tactical boots. The added jacket does add some needed bulk to the DC Essentials base body. The 2-pack version's a good general design, and while I was going to give this to Three Jokers, I ended up docking them points for the reused legs. Despite it not being my preferred design, the sheer amount of sculpted and painted detail won me over. For presentation, this round goes to Gotham Knights. Moving on to posability, and while these three figures are all made by McFarlane and have similar articulation, the DC Essentials one is very, very different. DC Multiverse is on a dumbbell joint, DC Essentials is on a ball joint and a disc hinge. They can look up this far, which is basically the same. This far down, pretty much nothing for DC Essentials. He also doesn't get any tilt, which the three McFarlane ones do, but all four figures can look side to side. All four figures have swivel hinge shoulders, but Gotham Knights is the only one that can raise over 90 degrees. The three McFarlane figures get forward and back with the rotator cuff. Nothing like that for DC Essentials. That said, all of them have bicep swivel. They also all have double jointed elbows. Traveling down the arm in Essentials has swivel hinge wrists. The four McFarlane figures, however, have wrist balls. Shifting to the torso in Essentials has an ab crunch and a waist swivel. This allows him to arch back this far and hunch forward this far. The three McFarlane figures have diaphragm joints and dumbbell weights to varying degrees of success. They can arch back this far, which is admittedly not much. The 2-pack version, probably the best, and they can hunch forward this far, which again isn't much. Unlike the DC Essentials figure, these two can get a bit of tilt, but Gotham Knights doesn't get much in that department either, and he's even more hindered by the fact that the hoodie comes down over the waistline. Below the waistline in Essentials has simple ball-jointed hips, they kick forward 90 degrees, and they can split this far. McFarlane joints are kinda like ball-jointed hips, but with a few more gears inside. The 2-pack version can kick forward this far, and do a near-perfect split. 3 Jokers can kick almost 90 degrees, and do a perfect split. Gotham Knight can kick forward this far, but he can only split this far until his leg starts to pop off. The McFarlane hip usually allows for a little bit of twist at the hip. The Gotham Knight one isn't too bad. DC Essentials, however, has a thigh cut. Granted, it's not as pretty, but there's no reason the McFarlane couldn't have hidden a thigh cut either here or here. Moving on down though, and everybody has double jointed knees, as well as ankle balls that can swivel, hinge, and pivot, but the McFarlane figures have the added bonus of toticulation. I mean it when I say that I think the DC Multiverse are some of the best articulated figures on the mainstream market today. Even so, as I consider the incredible range offered by both the ab crunch and thigh cut, the choice is clear. For posability, this round goes to Essentials. Moving on to playability, and the McFarlane figures come with trading cards. I got this guy loose, so I unfortunately don't have his. They also come with figure stands, and wait, well that's a first. Anyway, once again, I don't have his. That said, somehow I think I'll be okay. DC Essentials doesn't come with any of that, but you know what he does come with? Guns and alternate gun hands. In fact, he has more accessories than any other DC Essentials. The 2-pack version does come with guns also, but no non-trigger hands unfortunately. Sadly, by the time this guy came along, parent company Warner Brothers decided that none of their DC figures can have guns, so I don't blame McFarlane for not giving him any. And if you wanted to, you could give him somebody else's. To compensate, McFarlane gave him a crowbar, because we don't have enough DC Multiverse crowbars. That's better than Gotham Knights at least. He got finger guns. Pew, pew, pew. But playability is more than just heckling hard-working toy company employees for doing the best they can within the narrow limits of parent company restrictions. It's also about how well your figure plays with others. First things first, and we've got to start with Batman. In terms of the main Batmans of people's collection, I'm pretty sure that these are two of the big ones. Being that this one's a 3 Jokers Red Hood, it's meant to go with the 3 Jokers Batman. And while this isn't how I picture Red Hood, it's definitely an interesting look. And speaking of looks, Rebirth is a pretty popular Batman one. If you don't mind Batman and Red Hood being the same height, this could work. I personally like my Red Hood to be a bit shorter. Pretty sure this one's bulkier than either one of these Batmans. Shifting to some other Robins, and here we have Damian. In general, I think the DC Multiverse one is too big, but this scales pretty well. I think what mainly throws the DC Multiverse Damian off for me is just how big his head is, and just how cartoonish his face is. I'm pretty sure I've only mentioned about 1,000,000 times now that Tim Drake is my favorite Robin. Luckily, there is some hope of a comic book style DC Multiverse one coming out. Looking at Gotham Knights, and I'm pretty sure they shouldn't be the same height. He does scale a bit better with this one, but I still feel like he should maybe be a touch shorter. And then rounding out my Robins, and here we have Nightwing. I unfortunately don't have the one that came in this Red Hood 2-pack. Side note, do you prefer your Nightwing to be red and black or blue and black? Sound off in the comments. Personally, I've always been kind of partial to red. Here we have DC Essentials and DC Multiverse versions of Batgirl. This DC Multiverse one has always been way too big. Sorry, I bumped the camera in between takes. I am behind a couple of Batgirls, so maybe we should have a versus of them too. And finishing out the Bat family is Alfred and Commissioner Gordon. Alfred is Mattel and Gordon is DC Collectibles. I don't see it happening, but I'd love to get updated versions of these from DC Multiverse. All things considered though, I'm pretty surprised at how well these scale. Moving on to some villains, and we've got to have the Joker. The one on the right might be a kit bash, but it'll definitely tell you how it scales with the clown version. Not gonna lie, I kind of feel like both of them are a bit big. This one at least kind of makes up for it. Of course, where there's Joker, Harley Quinn can't be too far behind. The Jester one is from DC Essentials, and the Arkham City one's from Mattel. Hopefully McFarlane gives us an Arkham City one to go with all the new figures he's got coming out, but honestly at this point I'd be happy with just about any. Completing the Gotham City Sirens is Catwoman and Poison Ivy. At the very least we have an Arkham City version of Catwoman coming out soon. I've also heard a rumor that there's a Jim Ballant version coming out, but we are long overdue for a high quality Poison Ivy. Here we have a couple of different versions of the Scarecrow. We've already looked at the Arkham Knight one in a previous video. The other one is a DC Direct version of his appearance from Hush. Would definitely love an updated version of that as well. Here we have Hush and Deathstroke. Hush originally tried to pose as Jason Todd back from beyond the grave. This, of course, was before Jason Todd actually came back from the dead and became the Red Hood. There is a new comic book version of Deathstroke on shelves now, which we will be looking at soon. For a relative scale comparison, here's everybody with Pizza Spidey and the Spectacular Spider-Man. Kinda looks like the curtain call of a play. And here they are with everyone's favorite ingenue, Stealth Iron Man. Hopefully the Time Warner Discovery merger will lead to characters being able to have their signature weapons again, cause I'm pretty sure that none of us want this. That said, I do think McFarlane's done the best they can, all things considered. But between the guns, the alternate hands, and how well he scales with figures from other lines, for playability, this round also goes to Essentials. This leaves us with nothing left to discuss but the price. When it first came out, the DC Essentials figure retailed for $28, but now on the aftermarket goes for about $100. When it came out, the 2-pack version was $39.99, but now also goes for between $70 to $100. Fortunately for me, I found mine at a toy show for only $35. These two, however, are still widely available and retail for $20 a pop. For price, this round goes to 3 Jokers and Gotham Knights, but the battle is a tie between Gotham Knights and DC Essentials. This means it all comes down to personal preference. I'll admit that I am a bit biased when it comes to this guy, but if you don't already have him, he is kind of out of reach. If you absolutely need your Red Hood to come with the guns, this guy is probably going to be your best bet, but if all you want is a good all-round Red Hood that's affordable, scales well with others, and does look like the comic, 3 Jokers is my recommendation for your collection. Didn't expect it to go that way, did ya? Oh, and by the way, remember when I asked you to guess which one this was? It was Gotham Knights. For more 3 Jokers, check out this video, and for more Gotham Knights, check out this video. Here's to 200 videos and to 200 more. Thank you so much for watching. I'll be back again real soon, but until then, play nice and have fun.